sure we record on the, yeah.
We are recording. At 6 P.M., December 27th, 2022, I bring the study session for the board of directors, Republican Metropolitan District for.
Okay, first I have, the SRAB update. They came in last week. They probably did what, maybe about 100 manholes.
Probably at least.
At least 100 to 150. That's getting them off, mapped out, GPS, and also checking pipes. There was a few that they ran across that there wasn't, we couldn't find the manhole, so they move on to the next one, and just keep poking their way around. So they're on it, they're working on it. That's all I can tell you there. I didn't see them today. I don't know if they came down or not, but I know they're working until Friday.
Questions? How's that fitting into the INGIF? Is it working?
Yeah, they're going to right into our IMGIL. I gave them access, ours to put in that layer. So they're all set.
And the dashboard for that. Are we gonna have access to that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It will be part of our IMGIS.
So then, at that point, will the utility department be able to use that for the work orders and for planning?
Yes. It's all part of the system.
Do we need another asset management software system to combine with INGIF?
That's what we're working with right now with Colorado Road Water. They,
It's
Scott Thomas,
Scott Thomas is doing it, and I think you saw a little bit of that.
yeah, he's working with.
So there's a lot
Marsh
of-
right now too.
Yeah.
And they're going through and getting a lot of things that are inventory into it. As for how equipment is, whatever that we have. That's what our assets and what's on its end of life and what's on its middle life, whatever.
Did you see you can find some manholes?
Yeah, we couldn't find some, so they'll have to go out and dig them, get out there with the backhoe and try and scrape around it. Because like I said, what was it, 2 weeks ago, when they were doing the Red Cloud for doing service line, they ran into 2 manholes up there that were that deep underneath the road.
But that's blacktop. These aren't blacktop.
Yeah,
Well, even on gravel, Harry, they're very,
Oh, it's on gravel.
yellow and black.
it's been that many years.
So we're finding those because of the sewer raffle.
We will,
Well, yes and no.
yeah, we'll be doing both. You know, if they do find the situation, because we've given them a map too, that they use as their reference. And then they'll go out and start and say, okay, there should be a manhole here. So find it, put it in, go to the next hole. But not all of them have been totally located. Because like I said, some of them are buried 6 inches underneath the gravel road, or they're, we do have, about 5 of them that the lids broke on them. So as they're doing it, we're having to replace some lids on them too.
So once this is completed, so once the sewer route is completed, are we going to be able to have an accurate map of sewer line?
Yes.
So that we can update our map here and it would be accurate.
Yes. It will be all on the IMGIS.
I guess part of my question is that because of having people come in the front desk and ask them if there's sewer and water available, of course, Christie and after get up and look at this map, and we don't want to be misleading people.
Yeah, definitely. That's gonna be one of the big parts of it too, is that being able for them to get in and just look and say, okay, here it goes. That's why we're looking at even all of our water lines and stuff that we put in so far, the GIS and that, and put it in so that way we know that there is the true water line in it, and not taking a gas.
Okay. Comment, questions? Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, next, gas pre-treatment, we have local engineering come down. I did put it in black and white, but you just couldn't read it, so I printed it out in color for you guys. There's two options where we can set it, at this point. After talking to Gary and Greg and looking at the area around there, looks like option 2 would be probably about the best. That would be less pumping, it would be more gravity. It would give us a lot more room, I think, than option 1. Option 1 would be, option 2 has more of the ability to take water straight from the river, or mix it with the water from the lake, and it just seemed like a better solution. It was a
Better access for chemicals too.
Yeah. So that was what we're dealing with right now. We're filling out paperwork. We went through the pre-qualification. Now it's just to the engineering reports and what the state will say about it. We're funding for it. So that process is moving forward.
Questions? My question is, why not go to option 2? What's the downside to option 2?
You're gonna have to probably move the golf course lake. You do have some water lines and stuff there that go from the wells and the little house there. So that looking at it, they're gonna have to move that lake a little bit to the.
Plus, we don't know what the dam's gonna look like yet. We don't know. We have no drawing from that.
The dam shouldn't really bother us. I don't think we're gonna be that far down. But the less pumps we have, the better for Gary and I. Cause that's all we do is 5 pumps. So, yes, if we have to move the lake, which is a good theory, dump the sludge into the current, build a new one for the golf course, I think is great. But to take it in option 1, which is below, I don't see we're gonna have to pump it back up to there. I'd just soon have it come in myself, and I'm.
Straight line is better, yeah.
Just as gravity, just like we are now.
And the thing is, out of the pond that's there, you'll have the sedimentation or all the sludge that's taken off the top and stuff will go into it and then filter into another one, which then we'll see if we can all look to the golf course, like, which it's gonna be clear water anyway.
How big is that? 100 by 400 or 300? About that lake is proposed.
So
It's 1.5 million gallons. I could say how big it is, but when it was first dug and put in, we're the 1.5 million.
How do you visit? How do you visit?
When we're completely full, Harry, I think we're about 16 to 18 foot.
Wow, I didn't think it was that much.
So if we were to go to build another lake, golf course lake, we would need to build one about it.
Yeah, if we do that, I'd like to see it bigger.
Build it any size, it's got a lot of room over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's our property.
Right.
And yeah, if we build it bigger, that just saves more for the golf course.
Well, and Parks and Rec, or
And parks
roads and
and recs
bridges.
and roads, you know, our raw water over at, at
The
the
library
park.
there, yeah.
When we get that on this, or is this part of the, process?
What was the question?
When do we have to act on this?
Oh, we're waiting for the state to see if they approve the money.
Okay.
We got about a month.
Okay.
So to build this, the whole pre-filter system, needs to coincide with the dam repair. We are working with Tensio to work on funding for the dam repair. Why can't this be, together with the dam repair?
That's one of the things that we're gonna discuss and see if we can put it where they work together.
So with Arkansas Valley, sounds like Arkansas Valley Roundtable has quite a lot of money.
Mhm.
Would they, this is part of the infrastructure system. I would think that they would be part of their funding operation as well.
Mhm.
Uh,
And that's one of the parts that we've talked about. And I did sit with her for a little bit. We didn't have time to really go through everything. So I'm looking at setting up an appointment with her to sit down and really go through everything with her as to where we're at, where we're sitting at. As for the Arkansas Valley Basin, USDA, uh, the revolving fund, CWCB, all of that.
So when you say they, do you mean potential?
Yes,
Have you gotten together with Amanda yet?
I did once. Yeah, it was a quick meeting because she had somebody in the office. So we're going to set up a time to go through all of it.
Yeah, I guess where else would the funding come from? We don't want to have to do funding, go after funding twice.
No.
So is there any reason that this can't be?
Yeah, there is. The revolving fund is for water projects. Uh, the dam is not, it's storage. It's not a water project. Even though
Who's revolving fund?
the revolving fund is the state.
Of the
And
state.
they deal with sewer and water distribution.
But I get the information that I got is that the dam repair isn't as much the revolving, not the state as much as is Arkansas Valley.
Yeah, and it's also your federal.
So, but there's no reason they couldn't be doing the pre-treatment as well, right?
That's already in place with the state. The state is the one that we're trying to satisfy those compliance issues with our HAA 5s and our uh, disinfection byproduct.
So the reason to go for funding through the state is because of compliance issues.
Yes. And it's a different pot of money. It's what the EPA has given towards every state, and the state sets up the rules as to how they divvy it up instead of going through federal government, which is a lot harder to.
I think that my major concern is it needs to be done at the same time. And try to get the funding. You guys need to be asking questions. Anything else? Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, next, you have CCAAC review. I didn't know whether you had anything, Neil.
No.
Okay. That would be the study session.
So one more thing I think that we don't have is, again, we have to confront this moratorium issue. We could be doing it now or later. Didn't you say that we're going?
We're gonna have a public hearing the last meeting of January. We can put it on the agenda for the next meeting, which would be the second Tuesday of the month. You want to put it on that? We discuss it?
I guess I would caution the entire board, we are going to have to deal with this, so we need to be thinking about presentation, how what our different ideas are.
And that's all it would be. It would be a discussion.
Pardon me?
It would just be a discussion. You wouldn't have it in the agenda items because you'll have that hearing to make a decision at that time, the last meeting of the month.
To have, to the public.
So,
All right. That's it for the study session?
Yep.
Close the study session. What we want to talk to the policy at 6. What time is that?
6:30.
6:58, 6:16.
No, 6:15.
Okay.
Yeah.
6:15. Okay, if you join me, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the minutes show that we have a forum. We have 4 of the board members present, and Rick Collins is excused out. Approval of the agenda. Get somebody to approve the agenda. Approve the agenda as presented.
I said,
Move the second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have it. Minutes.
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the regular meeting of December 13th, 2022. The ACC minutes of December 15th.
I guess. Move the second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes approved. Those tables, Jim?
Yeah, if you noticed, we did get the second and third draws for our project up on Red Cloud Valley, all of that. If you look at what our bills payable is, $1,348,365.10. Just Yoakum's alone was almost $500,000, and Pate Construction another was let me see where it's at. I had it marked here, and that's where the biggest part of it was the construction and getting them paid for the last two. Pate was $655,000, which you guys had voted on the draw and draw 3 to get them paid. We got the money from ARPA through Pueblo County. The rest of it is our pretty much normal bills, Unum, end of year stuff that we've caught up on our main electric. We had some outstanding invoices. We finally were able to get them straightened out. MetLife, healthcare.
And I came in this morning and went through them all. And I know we approved those others, those big checks, last one.
Take out 8 and Milton ran up to about.
And then you had,
70,000.
and then you had GMS too, which was the engineering side of it, which they were, let me pull it. It was like 60,000 for GMS.
What is, Myron Farms?
Yeah. So that, no, that was 78,000. Yeah. That was another 78,000. Our bills actually were in the range of about 40.
Make a motion that we.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, the financials for the end of November 30th, as we stand, we look good. We're not in the black anywhere. We're still making money. Compared to last year, if you look at your totals, this year we're at 815,000. Last year they were at 406. So we continue to grow, and we also continue to have a lot more in operating and expenses uh, too as we go along.
Hey, Jim, this is Yvonne.
Yeah, Yvonne.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. So in the water department, even though it shows 327,807, we actually have 518,000 expenses in construction and progress. So those expenditures are not showing on the financial statements. They're sitting on the balance sheet. So it actually looks better than it really is because we are waiting on either grant funds or other funds to come in to cover those expenses.
Yvonne, so the 2,660,000 is basically gonna be taken care of by the ARPA money.
I believe it should. Some of it is for the DAF, some of it's for the dam. So there's about 3 projects that are sitting on the balance sheet instead of the financial statements. So those are expenses that have already been paid and we are waiting on funds.
So you have 20,000 that's CWCB funds for the or for the feasibility study that we have paid for RJH that we have to collect from them because we had a matching grant of 1,000. Right now they've paid 30,000 of it, so there's still about 20 of it that we need to collect on for that part of it. As for the DEF, we haven't collected anything on it, which we can regain them funds through this revolving fund. Any engineering and stuff will be part of that grant and allocations. At this point, with that meeting with them, we can get anywhere from 80 to 100% coverage of the pre-treatment for DAF. It all depends on how it breaks out with DOLA and the other one is
80 to 100% coverage
the whole project.
of the DAF, of the pre-filter.
Yep, of the pre-treatment. And that's why we went through the pre-qualification meeting And then the engineering report will come in as to costs and where it's going to be. Then they'll be able to put the costs as to where we sit socially, as are we poor, are we intermediate, and that chooses how much they would be willing. But with us looking at it being a PFAS removal system, it could be 100%.
I struggle, maybe I'm just slow on this stuff. I struggle with this, who is they?
The revolving fund.
That's the state.
Yes, that's a state revolving fund. I'm sorry, when I'm talking, it's they as their, that group, which is you have uh, Colorado CDHP, you have DOLA, you have engineers for the state CDHP, you have engineers for um, DOLA that are reviewing it too. You have finance directors from DOLA looking at it, and also CDHP. That all of these, there's a group of about 8 people within the revolving fund group that review this whole project.
Talk about the revolving fund. It's a number of different departments that work together to
Yes,
decide the money.
yeah, and it's a pot of money that all these departments have a buy-in to help out communities.
Okay, maybe that helps,
Um,
because one of my concerns would be if I were a grantor, and if I found out that you were applying for money and grants from 5 different agencies, I'd be likely not to give you mine. I'd expect you to go get theirs.
Well, the thing about it though is when you're doing in grants, the more people you have involved, like with the dam project, with having USDA, FEMA, CWCB, Arkansas Valley Basin, they want that. They want to pull all of that money together to help you. You have a lower bill in what it's going to cost you to build it. And they
One
want
thing
to,
that we need to do is make
hold
sure
on,
that I'm sorry.
go ahead, Yvonne.
One thing I believe we need to do is make sure that we stay under the 10% of revenue for state grants. We're okay with federal grants, but state and local grants, we are limited to 10% of revenue in the water department.
And that's why going through the revolving fund, actually, most of that money in the revolving fund is federal money, the EPA. Okay. Any more questions on financials?
Oh, go ahead.
Hey, next you have operational reports, your Beckwith Dam report for 12/14/22. Lake was at 13.5. 4-inch was dry. 6-inch, 1 minute, 100 milliliters. Seep was dry. Weir was at 0.14. Pit was dry. Readings for 12/22/22. Lake was still at 13.5. 4-inch was dry. 6-inch was frozen. Seep was dry. Weir was at 0.12, and Pit was dry. Got pictures for that on there. Committee reports have nothing at this time.
Back to your readings here. Again, I guess I'd ask Greg, has anything changed?
No. It doesn't really change. It hadn't changed since I've been doing
Did have Terry sent me newsletter. If you go to your section 6, the yellow tab on your books, there is the letter that he had put together. We got our minds together and I put it on our stationery. And if you look at it and want to review it, if you have anything that needs to be added to it or concerns, we can add it.
That was Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you have any concerns or questions, let me know after. That way I can make the changes and we can get it out in the bills at the end of the week.
Thank you, Terry. Okay. The, other than that, we really don't have anything committee operate. Other than we're still working on the lease, water lease.
On all of it.
I keep bringing these up, I guess, the horse lease, the horseback lease.
They haven't contacted us back.
Devin used to have.
No, they haven't. I let them know this is what we wanted, and from there, it never went any further. They thought they were going to get for nothing.
Okay. In order for the business of the board to be conducted in a most effective and expeditious manner, it is necessary that all persons present maintain a demeanor of civility toward the board, staff, and each other. Conduct that appears as threatening or aggressive will not be tolerated. Shouting, speaking out of order, or the use of offensive gestures similarly are not acceptable. Such behavior shall constitute the forfeiture of your right to remain in attendance and may, if the point board or brought to the board's attention by council or any board member, including the chairperson, result in your being asked to leave the meeting by the chairperson or, upon your refusal, being escorted out of the meeting by the proper authority.
Okay, Mr. Cook, newsletter.
Go ahead, Bob.
Chairman, I'd like to remain seated if possible.
Can you move up a little closer to us? Sure. I guess you could have sat back there and just yelled.
I had a long piece to discuss with the board or present, but due to my pay level, I'm just going to touch on a few topics. One of the things that you just said, Mr. Chairman, was you don't want to mislead people. Your last newsletter totally misleads the people. It even mentions using the DAC. You don't even have a DAC. You're not using filter anywhere in your system right now. And this DAC was, your manager was instructed to apply to the county that had funds for that. He chose not to, instead asking for water lines for which you don't have clean water to put in. Moving on, your manager also just mentioned in the black, and that's what your newsletter mentions. I want to quote that Mr. Collins stated, this will be about your rate raise. This will be enough to keep us in the black. Let me refer you to table 4 of your last audit. That has your 4 business funds, water, sewer, golf, and property funds. I'm only going to touch on the water. However, if you look at the numbers I'm fixing to explain, they're equal in standing across all businesses. Row 1 of table 4 is operating revenues. Row 2 is operating expenses. Row 3 is your net income or loss. Over the last 5 years charted, you have never, and I say again, never been in the black. You were misleading people, totally. You weren't then, you aren't now. Everybody says it's paper. But let's look at that paper. You've lost in that department $279,000, which would have gotten this DAF off the ground along with other repairs. It's ridiculous. This was pointed out 4.5 years ago, what your issue was with this accounting system. You're not covering your expenses. You haven't, and you refuse to do it. Because the DAF has been delayed without reason, and you put off even trying to get the money together when it was supposed to, I believe you should be and will be held personally liable for any sicknesses due to HAA 5. There's rumors of some people already looking into lawsuits over this. I've warned this board, you must do something. HAA 5 problem was looked at and given you an explanation 5 years ago of what should happen. Nobody listened. Last year, when I pointed it out again, it's because of the chlorine. Well, chlorine July year ago is not in the system for this year, and you failed again. This is a continual, ongoing problem you fail to look at. If you do any research on the web, you can see it's due to organic matter, which would be removed with a DAF system. This board has to do something. And when you state in your newsletter, 3 to 4 years before you see dirt move, you're going to be well into litigation before that 3 or 4 years if you don't get something done immediately in the way of pre-treatment. And I go back to just before I stop here, this in the black is total BS. You've not been in the black, you aren't in the black, and you're not going to be in the black if you keep doing the accounting the same way. Even your auditor points it out on table 4. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. That's all that we have.
Yep.
Okay.
I have nothing on our attorney's report. Agenda items, I have nothing. Old business, have Applewood Park. You have utility director, which I believe we're looking at with the Tensio in that area, because otherwise we would not have any money. So that's what I have for old business.
Ready for full business? Couple things I guess I have. On Applewood Park,
Hmm.
Jim, I guess, I understand.
Just getting time to get it going.
There are other stuff going on with the water pitch freezer and court. I understand the issues there. It's going to not look good.
Oh, I know.
That truck, that
I understand that.
station open before we get that.
We're working on remember, we gotta get that survey done too.
But yeah, so I'm talking to Bill there. We could move forward on that with what we have going now. But it becomes a planning thing.
Hmm.
So I would kind of roll that up with the meetings. We're still struggling with moving forward on completing those tasks. I guess I would ask, do we have, utility department, do they have a plan, a weekly plan of what's next, of what to do next? With understanding that gets usurped if there's an emergency.
Yes,
But
they do. Within the last 2 weeks, like I said, we've had between water breaks, water freezes. You've had last night we lost tank 1. We had a clay valve miss or fail on us on tank 2, which drained tank 1. Luck, Gary, Aiden, guys were able to go out, look for a break, found out that it was the altitude valve that regulates tank 1 and 2. Tank 2 was calling for water and it was pulling it out of 1. So we were able to get water back in service within probably about 15 minutes of when we first noticed it and got it back into place. So, with the guys that we have, we are working, they are busy, they are scheduled to do whatever on a weekly basis. This is what's going to need to do. Uh, Sometimes when emergencies come in, drop everything, let's get this emergency. We have filters out we need to change out in the plant that it usually takes two of the guys out plus Gary's two guys to help assist in getting filters and everything changed out with skids. Uh, we're in the process of that. We changed out one, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Almost a month.
It's almost a month.
Well,
We wanted to get into skid two, but we haven't had a chance to get to it yet. So we're working, trying to fit things in as we go along. Uh, but like you say, when you have this time of the year, it's bad. Your ground shifts we have. And also, with our construction projects that we have, we're trying to make sure that we have people out of water for the least amount of time that we can. Which,
That should be up to the construction company.
well, when it comes to shutting off valves and making everything isolated and recharging lines, that's up to us. Because if we leave it up to a construction company, we don't know what other messes we'd end up with. So that's why we have guys on hand to do that. Make sure.
And I've come in some mornings and I know you guys get frustrated because you come in and they have the thing already lined up and you got 2 water breaks. And then when that was really zero, out there, all those meters, then it took everybody away from that. And so,
So
the water system is so bad. I'm sorry, but it's so bad that you can't plan a day and then it takes about 2 or 3 guys.
Well, I agree, we need more help. So how do we fix this problem, not getting this done? Do we need to actually, as a board, do we need to work on subcontractors?
So before we find the money though.
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
We need to get.
I
So
mean, it's
what
just-
would, how are we going to finish these projects?
Well, and I've been talking to Josh, which that's part of his project, is a playground. Right now, he's finishing up the pole. We had to get it finished up so that we get our CTF funds, which is about $90,000 that we've spent in the pole that the county has put in there for new boiler, new skimmers, fix the leaks that we had in our pole to get it going forward for next year. So he's almost done with that project. Yes, that point, we'll probably get his crew on that and get them started into finishing up within the next week or two as weather holds. Okay, and that's all I can give you an estimate. Yeah,
Looking for how, solutions.
yeah. And that's a problem. Even when we were running into the pole finding materials, they tell you, oh, we're going to ship them November 1st, and here it's still December, and it still hasn't been shipped. So,
We don't want to be in this position again next December.
oh, I don't either.
Okay.
All right.
You have something?
If you would allow me, to outside of I know it's not, citizens input, if you allow it.
I will, keep it short.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't raise your rates to cover your losses, you will never get ahead. You cannot hire people, you cannot fix things unless you can cover.
Point taken. All right,
New business. I have nothing.
Trying to cut this short. Huh?
ECAC, you had nothing under new construction or action items at this time?
No.
Okay, so under correspondence, I did get a letter about 2 meetings ago. It was about a lady that had a backup sewer since last February. It was in her line. We checked the main. We've done all of our due diligence. It is a house that probably was one of the first houses here. I think it was used to be their old sales office up here off of Beckwith. Beckwith or
This is the studio house where they would paint pictures.
and at this point she had a contractor come in. They couldn't. They put in cleanouts. They tried everything to get it. The contractor told her that it didn't have enough slope in it, so they told him that she needed a pump. We went in, we checked our main line again, everything's there. Now she's complaining that since she hasn't had sewer service, she shouldn't be paying for it. Well, looking at her water use throughout the year from month to month, it ranged from anywhere from 10,000 gallons to 15,000 gallons. She's asking for a discount, no charge. She did finally, I guess, find another contractor out of Pueblo, uh, and I haven't talked to her since then. She feels that we owe her back payments, and she is not going to pay her until she has, which it's not due to our fault. It's not our line. It's in our policies and procedures from the tap to the house. It's theirs. Uh, Same way with the water line. If there's a break after the meter to the house, it's on the homeowner. Uh,
So she's asking for forgiveness of the sewer charge.
yes,
So are we absolutely sure that it's not an issue we have in our law?
yes, it is. We checked it. We videoed it. Um, we've getted it. Everything's been done with it, and it's not ours.
So to the board, then, it becomes if she's requesting forgiveness of the sewer charges, then it becomes an issue of decision of the board as to whether to forgive sewer charges or not. What is the
Which
position of the board?
So why would she have a water bill if she doesn't have sewer bill? Where's her waste going? Not going in the sewer. I don't understand that. How would she, if she's using water?
she says she showers at other people's houses, goes in,
Water bill.
goes in a bucket and throws it in her trash. She does her dishes and stuff and dumps it outside. So
It doesn't sound right. I don't have sewer, I just have water. My bill was $30, $40, or 30 something.
and hers is in a
$80.
$80 to
Yeah,
$100
because
range.
the sewer water, I mean, 10,000 gallons, it's going somewhere.
Well, because your minimum sewer is $41. Your water's minimum is 37, so it's like $71 is your monthly bill if you have water and sewer.
But I mean, the water usage, I mean, if she's only using 3,000 gallons of water, then I'd say there's something going on, but if you're using 10,000 gallons of water, I don't see it in the road anywhere.
She has a lot of plants. So, and on that point too, Neil, I don't think it's within your laws, your rules and regs. I don't know whether you can forgive any. If it was our mistake, yes, I believe in that. But if it isn't our mistake and it isn't our situation,
Pretty much agree. I think we are,
because what you do it for, if you do it for one, you're gonna have to do it for all.
I agree.
So, but that's what the communication, in a synopsis.
If we can be absolutely sure that it is not a problem with Metro sewer line. And I'm hearing from you, hearing these nods from Craig and from you that it is not a Metro sewer line. That being the case, what's that to the board?
I think she's liable for
All right, I think this is- all right, okay. We have, I guess, come on the new business, I'm working with, potential engineering.
it.
Um, I want to cover this again, I guess, to make sure that you are turning that whole responsibility and authority over to the density.
Okay.
Potentially to get the funding for that. So as far as the mouthpiece with Arkansas Valley Roundtable, or with really anybody in the funding, we need to make sure that we have one point of contact.
Okay.
And I think that we, as a board, we contacted with Tensor Engineering to be that point of contact, and I think just to reiterate that we want you to cooperate with them as well as to
Oh, yeah.
expect them to be that point of contact. Okay. Motion to adjourn. I'll leave that one where you can reset the thing.
Yep.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. Moving second. Let somebody says otherwise, you're adjourned.